Welcome back. Now, environmental, social and governance considerations have become a central part of business decisions for mining companies. From reducing carbon emissions to managing resources sustainably, the field of ESG has become more challenging and complex, presenting both challenges and opportunities for the mining industry. Ndalamo Resources CEO Shammy Luvhengo joins us now to dig into the mining industry's evolving role in meeting ESG expectations. Thank you so much for your time, Shammy. Now, looking at the fact that mining is a legacy industry, have mining companies actually made the link between ESG strategy and profitability?
Good afternoon, everybody. I think, in a broader sense, that they have. I think it needs better coordination, because if you think about it from an ESG perspective, one mining company can do something better than the other one when we're impacting the same environment. So there needs to be much more coordinated approach on what, number one, as a country from a legislative point of view, we're trying to achieve, such that the standards are the same for everybody. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the standards are not, but if you look at maybe Mpumalanga in terms of how we handle all the ESG activities, is such that one company will do something, there could be a neighbor and another one where instead of every company building one water purification plant, both companies can be able to build one, such that is much more coordinated, and the cleanup in terms of the environmental impact can be managed much better. Even on the sustainability side of things, we don't talk to each other too often. How do we make sure that we're trying to create opportunities for local people that are not just related and restricted to one mine? How do we make sure that if I have got a service provider at mine X, the mine next door can be able to, because what are we trying to do here if you want to be sustainable? We've got to create businesses that grow and become bigger than when they started. They can go and try doing business somewhere. For me, that is sustainable. You don't want to just create a company that benefits out of your mining activity and then when you close, they're out as well. So it needs coordination. We've got to help other companies to go get business within other companies that are not involved with us. So that is why I believe that there needs to be a greater cooperation and leveling of standards such that we can be able to help each other to create sustainable businesses and sustainable policies out of that.
This is a very, very interesting point that you bring about here, Shammy. The fact that mining companies need to talk to each other, but also the fact that they need to contribute, I guess, equally to this equation of achieving what we are trying to achieve in terms of the country's ESG agenda. So more collaboration. Then these kinds of collaborations that we need to see, do they also need to be involving government as well? And are there significant steps that are being taken in that effort?
Yes, they need to involve government. Well, government is already involved because they are the ones who set the standards or who help set the standards.
Yeah.
We all report to similar authorities, be it environmental affairs, water affairs, or the DMRE. It is important that because they're the ones who receive the information, they should be able, and we've got to be able to assist them to encourage collaboration and dialogue amongst companies, such that I can get to know who is doing what next to me.
Yeah.
So I think government still is at the forefront of playing a role because all of us report there. We've got to find ways of helping them set up those platforms that enable us to be able to do some of the things that they require. And I'll go back to what I might have said earlier on.
Yes.
I would love to know that around our mining area, there might be other mines that are doing similar things to what we're doing. And if it was spread out and actually coordinated, the impact of that could be much greater than just having every company do it for themselves individually. So government still needs to play a big role in coordinating. We are not saying they need to pay for it per se, but coordinating such that they link us up together, such that we can be able to do things when we are a greater group that have got the biggest impact, rather than individually all of us work as if we're in silos.
Is there enough emphasis and I guess a standard also that is set in terms of how companies approach ESG targets and I guess just also in a broader sense ESG reporting, where everybody knows that this company is producing this much in terms of their ESG targets, this company is doing this on that front?
Yes, there are. I mean, there is focus and emphasis on that. I mean, that's the point I'm trying to make. To
Yeah.
say, well, right now, every company will go and set their own targets depending on what the company's strategy is.
Yes.
I mean, like anything else, we no longer treating ESG as if it's one of those feel-good factors to have around. It is too important because it gives you the social license to operate and the legal license to operate. But
Yeah.
what then happens is we all set targets either according to what we can afford, what our strategies are. And I think that is the part where, again, it needs coordination because, yeah, some are smaller than others. And it's not necessarily that you're talking about to say if there was a requirement for a water purification plant and it's a million rands, everybody must contribute equally. There will be others who are bigger than others, who might be able to contribute more. So it is that important that we find ways of accommodating everybody around such that we can be able to lump that up so that the impact of that overall is much greater than what is said by companies individually.
Because I was actually, I mean, you talk about this affordability as well, and of course, some miners are smaller than others. And to have ESG strategy embedded in your operations, that also comes with costs and a little bit of tweaking also in terms of your operational model. And I'm just wondering how much room then mining companies do have to accommodate that, especially when you're looking at commodity down cycles as you are experiencing right now.
Well, you try your best as a company to make sure that ESG is not so much dependent on the ups and down cycles of the global commodity prices, and that's because your license to operate requires that you operate during upward cycles and downward cycles. All what it needs to do is that we got a plan. We've got a plan for the days when things are bad as much as when days are good. And this is why when days are good, we're able to invest aggressively either on new technologies that help us do things better. Some of it could be once-off and all of that. So it requires planning. It requires planning in a manner that the minimum set standards are achievable even during downturns. So that is why, for me, I do believe that planning and understanding what you're trying to achieve for the license duration is important so that you are able to withstand the global shocks of commodity cycles.
All right. And also, just lastly, as we wrap up the conversation, I mean, this is also a three-part effort, E, the S, and the G. Do you think that the mining industry is focusing on all of them holistically instead of, one over the other?
Yeah, I think we are. The mining industry does, and I will tell you, there's so many sticks and carrots out there that encourage all of us to behave. I mean, the carrots are such that if you're not compliant from an ESG point of view, nobody will give you funding if you want to do anything out there. The sticks are such that when you fail, when you do your ESG reporting and consultants who come in and look at what you're doing, you get obviously punished for that. I mean, punishing is the silly word, but you do. So there are benefits that come out of being compliant. And those benefits are such that, yes, you got to have a stable company that is bankable, that is supportable even during the downturn. So there are incentives that are embedded in terms of any company being able to come up with a proper ESG strategy. If you do it properly, there are benefits. So that is why we take it serious, because we understand that even some of our customers who buy our coal insist that we are compliant. So we wouldn't have a market if we were not compliant.
All right. Well, we do have to wrap up the conversation there, but thank you so much for a very, very insightful conversation there, and all the best with the rest of the interactions there at the mining Indaba. That was Shammy Luvhengo, CEO of Ndalamo Resources.